Good morning, everybody, and croeso I Cymru. I've been practising that. So welcome to Wales, welcome to Cardiff. I'm Heidi Sandoz, and I'm the chair for the Tissue Viability Society. I'm also lead nurse for wound care with Accelerate Kick, based down in Tower Hamlets. So, of course, here we are in Cardiff, the well-known centre of medicine. Of course, the most famous doctor in the world, Doctor Who, comes from Cardiff. So if you do get a chance to pop along to the exhibition there, then feel free. Fortunately for us, but not for our patients, we don't have the power of regeneration like Doctor Who does. So we have to deal with wound care on a daily basis, and that's why we're all here. Of course, also, Cardiff is very famous for its Millennium Stadium and its love of rugby. I don't wish to divide the room, because I know we've got people from all four nations within the UK and Ireland here, but we're all joined together today because of our passion for wound care to help improve outcomes for our patients, and I welcome you all here for that. The Tissue Viability Society mission is essentially to disseminate information, promote research, increase awareness of all aspects of good clinical practice in wound prevention and management. And I think our programme helps us to meet that mission very nicely. We have got evidence in our programme. We've got audit. We've got subjects that are within the national agenda and creating national debate. We've got patient experience stories, and we've got educational stories. And those of you that are nurses in the room, you can take notes at the back of your programme, and you might be able to take those forward for your revalidation. In addition, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the people that we've been able to sponsor here today. So we've got Victoria Peach, who won our Stop the Pressure Ulcer poster competition last year. I haven't met Victoria yet, so I don't know if she's in the room. I don't want to single her out, but if she is, pop your hand up. Nope, not here yet. And we've also been able to sponsor 8 other winners in the categories that you see. Now, I've been having my photo taken with them this morning already, but I'd like to welcome them all back to the Tissue Viability stand at lunchtime, at the beginning of the lunchtime break, so that we can have a joint photo with them all. And 2 of them very keen. They've come down from Scotland. We've had somebody come over from Land's End, so they've come from both ends of the country to join us today. Of course, our conference wouldn't be what it needs to be if we didn't have the speakers that give of their time freely to come and share their experiences with you all. So it's a huge thank you to all of the speakers that are here today. And we've also got people that have submitted free papers. Now, the free papers are in the programme, but the actual order of the free papers are not. So if you are interested in seeing what those free papers are, down on reception you can find a programme for them downstairs. So go and have a look at that. You can pop along and see some of the work that's been going on. Also, our conference wouldn't be what it was if it wasn't for our corporate sponsors and our exhibitors. So great thank you to them. Now, we've got exhibitors at the back of the hall. We've also got exhibitors outside and downstairs. If I encourage you to attend and visit all of the stands, you'll find in your packs an exhibition passport. So to encourage you to take the time to visit all of the stands, if you pop along, don't just pop along and shove this under their nose and go, sign that please. You do need to engage in some conversation with them, find out about their products and how those products might help you with what you're doing locally. Get a signature. At the end of the day tomorrow, those that are fully completed, we will do a draw and there will be a winner for a mini iPad. Of course, our conference is organised by Pink. You'll see them around with I Am Pink badges on. So if you need any help and advice, all the trustees are wearing trustee badges, and so are Pink. So you can approach any one of us or them to help you. Just one little piece of information, some breaking news. You might not be aware that the MPUAP held a meeting a couple of weeks ago in Chicago to re-look at the classification of pressure ulcers. So if you go to their website, they have produced a new document that has some new definitions around pressure ulcer classification. The key thing is that I'm calling them the wrong thing. I should be now calling them pressure injury if we're going to follow MPUAP guidance. So in the UK, we're not necessarily taking that on just yet. We will be consulting with EPUAP and seeing what the European take is on that, working closely with EPUAP. But this is just to inform you that that piece of work has happened. This is just a little personal story for me. I can't see Dennis, actually. Where is he? Oh, there he is. You didn't know you were going to be up there, did you? So I first got interested in tissue viability back in 1987, having read this article by Dennis Anthony called Are You in the Dark? And I was able to use this article to completely change practice in the orthopaedic ward that I was working in at the time. And I've never had the opportunity to meet Dennis, and he gets talked about in my life a lot. And I finally had the chance to meet him last night, and I said to him, you know, he's responsible for me being here. That came as a bit of a shock to him, and I realised I might not have worded that quite well. But it was an absolute pleasure for me to have met him last night, and I think he was quite taken aback that I was trying not to be too sycophantic about him being there. But it's great to have you on the programme. We've also got work around leg ulcers on the programme. We've got a fundamental skills workshop. Now I do need to tell you about a little room change for that. So that was going to be in room C. It's at 2 o'clock this afternoon in the 2 o'clock session, but it's now going to be moved to room B. So those of you that are new to leg ulcers, you can come along. Jamel's running a workshop there, I'll be with her, and we'll be running a workshop on bandaging skills. We've also got some special applications workshops around leg ulcer care, and there are some free paper presentations too. And of course we've got exhibitors here that work in that field. And to end the day tomorrow, we have quite a controversial session to keep you all here around the work that's going on around NHS supply chain and dressings procurement. And some of you might have been involved in some of the debate and seen some of the letters about that. So that's a very exciting session to end the day tomorrow. Hopefully it'll keep you all there. Join the debate for that. If this is your first conference, or if you're a student nurse, then you're very welcome to attend the session at 2 o'clock this afternoon. It will be starting in room C, and then for the bandaging workshop we'll move to room B. But I welcome you here. Make the most of this conference. Visit the exhibitors that are here. Network with the other people that are here. There are some very experienced people from the tissue viability world here. Feel free to introduce yourselves to any of the trustees. And maybe you'll see today the presentation that you take back and change practice, and in 29 years you'll be the chair of Tissue Viability Society, and that person will be in your room and you'll be able to say thank you to them. The Tissue Viability Society are very proud to be funding the Wounds Research Network, and they're running their first inaugural scientific meeting tomorrow. So if any of you are interested in attending that, we're waiting for the programmes to be delivered today for that. So once they're here, you'll be able to have a look at that programme and decide if there's any sessions during that stream tomorrow that you would like to cross over to. I'm not sure what room that's in, actually. Where's Jane? Anybody know? Anyway. Oh, do you know what room it's in tomorrow? It says D. Oh, room D, look, there it is. Note to self, read your presentation. So this is a time of change in the NHS. You know, we've got a lot of controversy going on around the Secretary of State for Health, but we have had a very interesting paper come out most recently called the FiveYear Forward View, which hopefully most of you are aware of. You know, the key thing about this is really it's telling us that if we carry on as we are, we're going to have a very large £1 billion deficit between the care that's needed to be given and the money that we have available. So we do have to think about how we can do things differently. The 5-year forward view wants us to focus on prevention, wants us to think about how we can prevent health. So how can we do that in the wound care field? What is it that we need to start focusing on so that we can prevent people from developing wounds, or we can get their wounds to heal much quicker than sometimes they do? Patients are also going to be given greater control over their spending and their budget. I wondered to myself where the volume of patients with wounds sits compared to other diseases that get a lot of attention and money from the Department of Health. And it's very difficult with the statistics, they're not measured in the same way. And we had a very interesting paper published last year by Guest et al. In the BMJ, which has looked at the number of people with wounds in a slightly different way. And I think it's a very interesting paper to give us a good idea of the number of patients that are living with a wound. And as you can see, looking at some of I asked my husband, actually, I said, what diseases would you think of based on what you hear about on the telly and in the newspapers? And he came up with quite a few there. So we're not near the number of people with diabetes, but we're very close to the number of people that are suffering from chronic heart disease. And these other diseases get a lot of attention, they get a lot of money, and wound care is it's always called the Cinderella aspect of healthcare. And some of these patients that suffer from these other diseases are also living with a wound, but their wound won't get the same attention as their other disease might. So the Guest et al. Paper tells us that there are a large number of people living with wounds, and they're also costing the healthcare a lot of money. And a lot of that money, most of that money, is spent on the group of people that have got wounds that aren't healing. So we've got a lot of work to do still. I've been interested in this for 29 years, and we're still not there. We've still got more work to do. Lots of healthcare visits, lots of prescriptions being written, lots and lots of dressings being used. Interesting as well, the number of bandages that are used. And when you look at the number of compression bandages that are used, you have to wonder about that difference in numbers there. Because we all are told that there are more patients out there with a venous leg ulcer than other leg ulcer types, and yet we don't seem to be using enough compression bandaging. And not enough of the people with a leg ulcer have had the correct assessments that they should have. That just shows you the number of wounds. You can see pressure ulcers are up there. Pressure ulcers do get a lot of attention, patients with pressure ulcers. But as you can see, there are far more people out there living with a wound on their lower leg. So hopefully that sets the scene a little bit for you for some of the content, and you can take away some thoughts after you've attended the 2 days about how you can influence the future of wound care. We're in this beautiful building in Cardiff. This is the Cardiff City Hall. If any of you are art lovers, you're going to have a good couple of days because there's a lot of art here. But also tonight at the Cardiff National Museum, if you're coming to the gala dinner, which is just next door, there's actually the largest collection of French Impressionist paintings in that building outside of France. I'm told it's worth over £400 million. Sadly, for those of you that are red wine lovers, there are no coloured drinks allowed in that building because of the artwork. And sadly for me, that means I can't get any Martini Rosso either because that's red. So if you're white wine drinkers, you'll be well away for that tonight. And I do hope you're all going to join us. We've got some fantastic entertainment. If you're anything like me, bring tissues. If those of you that are tweeters in the room, then please do tweet what you're learning here. We've got hashtag TVS 2016 and at TVS UK is our name. So I look forward to retweeting all of your tweets while we're here today. Thank you for listening to me.